And our top story this evening is the anticipated Michael Cohen testimony, and it has been ongoing since 10 a.m. today.
Reporter Chris Benson is with us today with reactions, the effects, and what's next for President Donald Trump after today's testimony on Capitol Hill.
President Trump's former attorney Michael Cohen testifying to Congress on Capitol Hill today, providing the Oversight Committee with statements on, among other topics, hush money payments, the Trump family's business dealings in Russia, and the Mueller investigation. The testimony highlighted by contentious moments from both sides of the aisle.
I am remorseful, and I am going to prison. I will be away from my wife and family for years. So before you turn around and you cast more dispersion, please understand.
A historic day in Washington running high with emotions.
It goes to the heart of presidential power, and it goes to the heart of what we will accept in democracy.
Syracuse University political science PhD Shayna Gadarian has a word for today's proceedings.
Wackadoodle, but that's a technical term.
Today, I am here to tell the truth about Mr. Trump.
Cohen's allegations implying some explosive revelations into the Trump presidency, but Gadarian doesn't see any immediate consequences for Donald Trump.
Impeachment, which seems like one of the steps that people are going to talk about, it is a political standard. And so when members of Congress think it is in their best interest to support articles of impeachment, they will, but not until that point.
Those allegations, again, we're bringing in tons of reaction from specifically Republicans, the sides of the aisle. Specifically, if you take a look at Kelly Murphy at Kelly Murphy 25 on Twitter, Donald Trump saying that Michael Cohen was one of many lawyers who represented me. Unfortunately, he had other clients. You take a look at Mark Meadows, Senator. He ripped Michael Cohen during the actual proceedings. He said it's amazing as Michael Cohen speaks to think about a man who is convicted of lying to the Supreme Court for fraud. He did bad things unrelated to Trump. Adam, Eileen.
Thanks, Dom. I'm joined this morning by Rob Rivera. Thank you so much for being here with us this morning, Rob.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Of course. So you've said before that joining Navy Junior ROTC helped you find direction in high school. That takes a lot of discipline as a younger person. So how did you reach the decision to become a part of that?
It was interesting because before that even, I was a part of an organization that was similar to the Boy Scouts. I had done that for several years, and so once I saw the students at my high school getting involved and being a part of the NJROTC program, it drew me right in. I was sold immediately.
You were an EMT on 9/11. What was that experience like, and what stayed with you throughout the years?
Right. I mean, that was, obviously an incredibly difficult period of my life. I was only a couple months into doing EMT work when that actually occurred. So, about 3 months in, and next thing you know, you find yourself there. I think that the most difficult part was really trying to grasp the concept of not being able to do everything for everyone. And so I think the takeaway from that really was just, to do what you can for those you can reach.
Yeah, it's a great lesson to learn through such a tragedy. After leaving the military in 2010, the Wounded Warriors Project led you to climbing mountains. What are the similarities between climbing these huge mountains and climbing the ranks of the military?
Right. Yeah, I think it applies not only in the military, but right across the spectrum, really. Being able to take a challenge on and no matter what it is, and say, okay, well, how am I going to accomplish this? You see this huge thing sitting in front of you, 12,000 feet. Okay. So it's a lot of preparation and a lot of diligence in order to get to that point.
I'm sure. So you're in the midst of earning your dual master's degree in Newhouse and the Maxwell School, and have been offered a spot in the New Jersey City University's doctoral program. How does your inspiration from the Army differ from the inspiration you received from school?
I think that there are definitely similarities, but I guess to contrast it, the military is obviously it's very rigid. They tell you what you need to do and how to do it. Education is much more on your own. And I think, taking the educational aspect and looking at it like a job and saying, okay, well, I'm going to schedule myself to study from this time to that time or whatever it is. And really kind of regimenting what you do on your own is an important part.
Yeah, definitely. What are the next steps for you after you're done with your formal education?
Can't wait for that to happen, as much as I love school. But the goal ultimately is to get into academia. Now that I'm no longer able to be a first responder, now that I'm no longer able to do what I used to do in that capacity, I want to try to teach people how to do what I used to do in order to try to mitigate problems or threats, as well as how to respond to them once they occur.
It's amazing, amazing work that you're doing. Thanks once again to Rob Rivera for joining us this morning. I'm Emily Barkan, live in the studio, now for your Orange Buzz with Elijah Williams.
All right, thanks, Taylor. Now, even though voters weren't going to the ballot box to elect a new president, yesterday was still a big day for our nation. Onondaga County even saw voter turnout close to the 2016 election. Now, for those who didn't stay up last night to watch the results break come in, I am here to break it all down. And the first question you may have about last night's results is, did the Democrats take back the House? And the answer is yes. Dems were projected to win the House last night, and they did. America kept their eye on key races with Republican incumbents. Like Virginia's 10th congressional district, Barbara Comstock, she was not able to hold on to her seat in Congress as the Democratic candidate Jennifer Wexton, she was declared the winner with 56.2% of the vote. However, the Republican incumbent did win in New York's 24th congressional district. Congressman John Katko defeated Dana Balter with a win of 55% of the vote. Now, Republicans lost the House, but were they able to keep control of the Senate? Yes, they did. One Senate race the nation was watching last night was the race between Marsha Blackburn and Phil Bredesen in Tennessee. Now, Blackburn was up significantly in the polls a few weeks ago when pop singer Taylor Swift, she broke her political silence to endorse Democrat Phil Bredesen. Now, even though her endorsement led to an increase in young voter registration, it was not enough to tip the vote to the Democrat. Now, many people were also watching to see if President Trump was able to actually help the Republican candidates he endorsed, and for the most part, they did help. And down in Florida, it was a tight race for the Senate between Rick Scott and Bill Nelson. And even though Republican Rick Scott, he tried to distance himself from Trump during the campaign, it looks like the president's endorsement did have a positive impact in the end, as he was able to narrowly beat Bill Nelson with a win of 50.2% of the vote. But over in New York's 22nd congressional district, it looks like the support from the president may have fell short. Republican incumbent Claudia Tenney, she has yet to concede to the Democrat Anthony Brindisi, saying it could be the absentee ballots that they could swing the vote. Now, Brindisi was declared the winner last night, but Tenney's campaign is calling for a recount. Now, Claudia Tenney may not be returning to Congress this year, but many women are. Last night's results show a record number of women are heading to the Hill. People are calling it a pink wave. As of this morning, 33 new women were elected to the House, along with 65 incumbents. And many women made history, including the first 2 Native American women elected to Congress last night. That's Deb Haaland in New Mexico and Sharice Davids in Kansas. And the youngest women were also elected to Congress last night. Alexandria Cortez, she was the Democratic Socialist who rose to fame in the primaries. She easily won New York's 14th district. And Abby Finkenhauer, she defeated the Republican incumbent in Iowa. Both women are 29 years old. And another historic moment we saw last night was the first openly gay man to be elected as governor in America. Jared Polis defeated the Republican for governor of Colorado, and this is a significant win as the state has a past of voting against LGBTQ rights. So we definitely saw history being made last night, making the midterms a night to remember. But now not only is November election month, but it is also Native Heritage Month, and Syracuse University and student organizations are hosting a celebration. Becca Gutierrez joins us now live in the newsroom with the story.
Thank you, Sunny. I'm Taylor Epps with everything that's trending on the Hill this week on your Orange Buzz. Yesterday was election day, and with many close and competitive races, voters in Syracuse took to Twitter just to show their excitement. We've got Elliot, who says 61 degrees in Syracuse for election day. Don't tell me that God isn't on our side. And Cheyenne was rooting for Balter in this race and said that she was so excited for election day after meeting her in the town hall. Now, though these people were excited to take the polls, it seems that others were a bit more excited to see the Orange take the court in the season opener last night. Joe Shepard says the best thing about election day is the Syracuse basketball opener. Hashtag Go Orange. I'm with you on that, Joe. And then we've got Go Orange 10, who shares a lovely picture here and says friendly reminder to the Syracuse faithful to take a break from all the election mayhem and just watch Syracuse basketball take on Eastern Washington. And Tim Mooney was a bit more conflicted here, and he says election night or Syracuse hoops game, razor thin, but you've got some reason to believe it'll turn out okay. And it did just that for SU basketball last night. Our own Keanu has more on last night's game with your Orange Sports.